Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. Banks get marching order to sell off Disco's share. With Ayu in office, no deal with Atiku, says Wike. How to end petrol crisis by reps, Oyetola. I didn't hire 12,000 workers in Osun. Imagine. 14 persons, 22 cows die in road crash. Tinubu promises to end banditry, terrorism in Northwest. CBN, abuse Naira and go to jail. Obi promises to end stealing in government. Okay. Which story are we starting with?
Should I start with
Oyetola? Yes.
Okay, so the media aide to the former governor of Osun State, Ismail Omikpidon, was in Kwara State at a stakeholders meeting with Osun young professionals, and he was surprised. He said they, as a government, were as surprised as everybody else when it was announced that they had recruited 12,000 workers. He said it was impossible. What the government did during his last month was 2,000 workers in their teachers and skilled workers. Sorry, I'm trying to get the 2,000 workers, 1,500 teachers and 500 casual health workers that were recruited in Osun State, and only for the new administration in Osun to have started the trend then that it was 12,000 workers. So what exactly is even the size of Osun State civil service workers if you say that they recruited 12,000 workers? But you know, that was what was trending, and they were as surprised as everybody else. And they have challenged the present administration to prove it with a list, and to prove the 12,000 workers allegation.
So I was going to take the major headline. The Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, was speaking while giving President Buhari's scorecard on electricity. He was saying that the banks holding the majority stakes in 6 of the discos, that's, let me mention the states, Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, Benin, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, and discos, say that they must quickly find ways to divest this 60% interest they've gotten within the next 12 months. According to him, of the 11 discos, 6 weren't doing so well, so they had to hand them over to AMCON, and then they had about 60% of the ownership that's given to various parties. That's the BP, that's the Bureau of Public Enterprise. Central Bank of Nigeria also has a portion of that. So these are the agencies that are managing those 6 discos right now. The ones, 3 of the discos are doing very well. That's 2 of them in Lagos, Eko and Ikeja. And I think one other, I'm not sure the third one who is doing also well. And then the other ones have already gotten reconcession back in this year, 2022. So they're hoping that they're going to begin to improve their services. The ones in Lagos, the 2, and I think in Jos, I believe. Looking for the other one, the third one that is doing very well. But the bottom line is that the remaining 6 that are not doing so well, these 3 agencies have been asked, therefore, to find investors. They sacked the past investors, and then sacked the management, and then they now handed over to these 3 agencies to manage until they're able to get new investors. Okay, any other story in the nation?
I wanted to take the 14 people that died in a road accident in Kebbi State. They were coming from Kebbi State, and they were going to the truck hit a passenger, a stationary truck. It was a passenger truck, and it hit a stationary truck and killed all of them. This was in Sokoto State, and they have evacuated all of them, and they're treating the people. 40 people were injured, but 14 people killed, the cows.
Right. Before I move on, let me just say the 3rd disco was in Enugu. It's important for me to mention that because the Enugu disco is doing well, and the ones in Lagos are doing well. So those are the 3.
Please don't take a story update on Unilorin female student Miss Olajide Gloria Blessing Omonwumi, who was raped and murdered in her residence last year around the Tanke area in Ilorin. And the good news is the Kwara State High Court, sitting in Ilorin yesterday, has sentenced them to death. Has sentenced 2 of the 6 people that were arrested to death. Their names, the convicts, are Abdulaziz Ismail and Ajala Moses Oluwatimileyin. And these 2 people are going to be hanged. They've decided to be hanged. And can we just speed up all these people that were on death row so that we can, especially for those that are not on appeal, so that we can decongest the court, because these two deserves to get justice, especially because of what they did to the poor girl who was murdered.
All right,
but let them exhaust the appeal.
Moving on quickly now to the Punch. 2023, INEC vows prosecution of voters' cards buyers and their sellers. Fake soldiers in court for terrorizing Lagos communities. Majestic Messi secures Argentina World Cup final spot. Senate postpones hearing on cash withdrawal limits. Mass rallies on local government autonomy to hold on Tuesday. My life in danger, ex-Ekiti speaker petitions IG. Nigeria leads in yam production, exports none, says federal government. And reps direct NNPC to end petrol scarcity. Okay, which story are we starting in Punch?
Okay, should I start with the yam production?
Yes,
so,
please.
According to the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Ernest Umahi, and he was represented at a stakeholders meeting workshop in Abuja by the director of the Federal Department of Agriculture, Abdullahi Abubakar, and his claim was that we must have sustainable food security for our population. As it is now, Nigeria is one of the leading, not the lead, but one of the leading producers of fresh yam products, but we cannot export any. And he says that so we must do something. The reason for that stakeholders workshop was to critically examine factors working against our being able to export quality production and our major commodities such as yam outside the country. But I think that he's saying one thing and he's losing focus. If we can at least feed our people with affordable yam, it is a win on its own. It is in continuous production like that when we are able to settle at home that we can take care of outside. What we are consistently producing is just about enough for for local consumption. And bothering about export should not be our focus right now. When we have excess, we too will just delve into export. I think we should let us focus on being sustainable first.
He actually said Nigeria was the leading producer, but Ghana is the one that exports the most. And they expect
yam is our staple.
We do 94%, Ghana does 10% or something of production. But people cannot remember when
the last we tried that was left for a long time.
Tried to export yam.
Yes.
All the yam got spoiled on the high sea.
That was a one-off now.
And then, but he didn't try again after that. And not only did the yam get spoiled, but then we could not find yam to buy in Nigeria.
Because it's our staple here.
The other times they tried, probably didn't make the papers.
Even now under this present minister,
we don't export.
Yam is expensive. You won't believe it is something that is mostly planted here, produced here. One tuber.
Yeah.
That's
so
expensive.
we should deal with local consumption first.
It's not our hot topic. Let's just do
That's expensive. 2.5.
The fact is, it's a topic we need to even talk about. That yam thing is a totally different matter.
Seriously.
I was going to take the story, because I took the story yesterday, on the constitutional review. So there's a group, the national president of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, Akingbolu, said that they are planning to meet with the president, Muhammadu Buhari, to discuss the possibility of a protest. They're planning to hold a rally concerning this local government autonomy that is yet to be passed by the state. If you recall, I said yesterday that they needed 2/3 from the state assemblies to approve the constitutional review. It was in March, I think it was 29th of March this year, that the National Assembly had transmitted 44 constitutional alteration bills to the states. Of all these, I think only about 19 or so have gotten back. 21 states, the Punch says that 21 states had passed the amendment bills. They're waiting for the other states to also pass. A few states, Lagos, Ekiti, Benue State, and a few others are yet, in fact, they totally rejected the bills. Others are still yet to get back to the federal government. And this group is saying that they're going to have to rally and see what they can do to force these states to pass. Some of these amendments include state policing, local government autonomy, reviewing on education, a few other things that was mentioned. So it's an important conversation to have. I know this politics now, most people are not really governing the amount, there is more political system, but this is a huge part of our democracy, if indeed we're going to have a functional democracy. All right, so continue with Punch.
So the ex-speaker of Ekiti State has said that his life is in danger. He was sacked. I think that happened a few I would like to confirm, in November, he was removed from the office in November 2022. And he has said that that was because of his loyalty, where his loyalty lies. He said he's had to go underground, that there were some strange men around his place. He has appealed to the Inspector General of Police to save himself and his family members from being eliminated because he decided to contest for the speakership of Ekiti State elections, and he has had to take his family away from their house. He said some days before the election, some powerful forces outside the government of Ekiti State had been coercing members of the Ekiti Assembly to support someone else. So I was trying to get if the police, what the police is saying concerning this, and they didn't carry that story here. But if somebody is making such claims about his life, we don't want it to be after something now bad happens before we now say, oh, but he said so. Right. So please.
Okay, moving on quickly now to Daily Sun. Atiku, Tinubu outdo each other on security and economic plans. Your sit-at-home order will continue to flop. IPOB mocks ECPA. Enugu Assembly decries worsening insecurity, mandates Ugwanyi to deal with situation. PDP mocks APC over candidates Chatham House outing. I don't have political axe to grind with, Atiku, says Wike. Customs raised the alarm over use of government number plates for smuggling of vehicles. NNPC earmarks 1.6 trillion naira to fix roads under tax credit scheme. And CBN BPE banks now run discos to discontinue 150 billion naira electricity subsidy. Okay. Which story are we starting with?
So following the presidential order, executive order that was signed by the president in 2019 on infrastructure, titled Executive Order 007, NNPC has continued to fill the gap, and they said that, you know, they would fill the infrastructure gap with a 1.6 trillion naira rehabilitation under the federal government tax credit scheme. So they are looking at new roads. They said that out of the 195,000 kilometer road networks around, only 60,000 out of it is paved already. So NNPC will be, of course, doing PPPs and other initiatives to help cover this deficit that we have. So I'm looking.
Okay, I was going to take the story concerning the customs. So the customs area controller in charge of the Niger Kogi area, Mr. Busayo Kadejo, has expressed deep concern over the increasing use of government plates by suspected smugglers, number plates, by suspected smugglers, and even second-hand vehicles and smuggling second-hand vehicles into the country. He said that they displayed about 15 vehicles that had the FIRS, that's the Federal Inland Revenue Service, plate numbers. No fewer than about 5 suspects were already arrested in this regard. He also said about 57 exotic cars were also detained because they were carrying the presidency number plates. Now, that's a cause for concern, because I think it's quite worrisome, because I know it's part of our culture where we seclude a group of people, either the presidency or government car and those kind of things. The police don't check those cars. I think we need to really review these things, and how do we curb this frequent issuing out of these special plate numbers to just anybody. It's quite prevalent.
Are you sure those numbers are even issued? I think
or legitimate?
Yes.
Of the years.
Yeah, how did they? You see, the number plates, they fit a certain specification. So you will recognize a legitimate number plate if you see it. So they are probably legitimate, but they've gotten them through illegal means. So once you have that kind of number, if it's fake, you will know it now. Even if you are an ordinary person like us.
But don't you think there's some privileges that when we have a proper state, we can start? But right now we're trying to fix our country. Maybe we should stop all these privileges. All these nice privileges should be suspended for some time until we get people who are actually willing to obey the laws.
The other day I was in serious traffic and a police car just comes on the wrong side of the road and
went off.
Beats the traffic.
They are above the law.
They are above the law. So it starts to start. This is just, that's just it. There are many.
Let me take any other song?
Yes, please. I want to take a very important story. So, Enugu State Assembly has decried the worsening state of insecurity, especially as we are in the Yuletide season. So, the leadership of the Enugu State House of Assembly has called the governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi has said that there's been major insecurity challenges along the Oji River State constituency area, and Chief Jeff Mba was the one that raised the motion to the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, said that just a few weeks back, the former Commissioner of Rural Development Enugu State, Uzogab Uzulike, in that Oji Rivers area was gruesomely murdered alongside his brother, and there had been several attacks within that area, and the fear of insecurity would deter many people from coming home this Christmas and New Year, even to engage in other social activities without being molested by hoodlums or being even murdered. So his appeal is let the state work with the police officers, joint military and forest guard and neighborhood watch to tackle the menace quickly. That's for Enugu State. I'm sure many other states have the same story.
Vanguard, petrol NNPC slashes price for marketers to ease scarcity. IPOB distance itself blames federal government concerning the attacks on the INEC offices. Hitches, low turnout mark collection of PVCs. Tinubu vows to eliminate kidnappers and killers. Other than IU must go, no personal issues with Wike. NIPOST, cartel colluded to embezzle stamp duty funds, says presidency. NDDC, Senate begins screening of Onoche and 14 others. Okay, who has an NPC, please? Because this doesn't sound realistic at all.
Well, NNPC, in trying to clear what is on ground now, I've been having a series of meetings with Ipman, Dapman, and all of the mans manning our petroleum industry. And they said they're adopting a new measure to guarantee adequate supply across the country by fixing, and they're still staying on their 148 per litre. They're looking to, sort of meet marketers halfway by slashing from the private depots also what they'll be giving. But in this report, marketers are lamenting that they buy at 200 naira per litre from private depots. So it's impossible for them to meet DSS 48 hours directive of slash. It's not going to happen. At that 200 naira per litre, they can't even sell at 170. So, they will get to their filling station and have to do that. But NNPC insists that, the House of Reps have called them to mediate on the matter, and they are looking at further slashing. The only fear that I have on the NNPC's further slash is that we don't want to be paying subsidy inside subsidy. How do you plan to slash? If the cost of landing is a particular cost, and you're already paying subsidy on that landing, what exactly do you want to further do to marketers to assist them to get products? Let's not be paying for that subsidy. If it is that, let's open the market.
Okay.
Anyway, Mariah's favorite governor.
After Governor Sanwo-Olu, please. We say it. Governor Wike, baby. He's number two. He's number two.
Well, I know him as your favorite. When I say favorite, then you can say after.
Go ahead.
Your favorite governor, Governor Wike, has said that he doesn't have any personal issue with Atiku, except that Ayu must go. That he doesn't regret running for presidency. That as far as he's concerned, if they hadn't done some magic, he would have been. He would have won the seat, but that he knows why he is saying that.
He's insisting on that.
On some argue that they can't have northern president and
then northern chairman.
Northern chairman.
Okay, now
also Vanguard a report.
I waited for you to take that story because it's your axis.
Yes.
You understand it very well.
Complete analysis of the Apapa expressway traffic that is going on, and they did interviews with road users, including they did not interview Misha, but from Second Rainbow.
Are you offering yourself for interview?
Of course, I can sit with them on this. I drive them, so we've been suffering that hardship because the road has to be constructed from Coconut to Sele. The reconstruction, that's the rebuilding of the road, and the only service lane that is free is where tanker drivers have joined us to cure the way into Apapa, and that is causing serious hardship. I love that Vanguard is on the story, but I drove through there on Monday, and it was amazing to see that the tankers had left. As when you get to Second Rainbow, you don't have to proceed into the worst part of Apapa.
They don't have fuel.
And I got a message this morning from Lagos about Express that they've removed and I mean
they've removed. I saw the video.
Yeah, they say it's free.
So,
Junior Damola Kuti sends the videos.
Yeah.
So you now have to just, for those of us going to a mode of it, you can actually exit into a mode of it freely now. I hope it continues. I'll have to pass.
Let's drive safely as much as you can because generally they'll lock it back up.
Because look at the...
It's going to break. That's all we can take on paper review today.